Dear women talking, patriarchy is fighting back. Sun Tzu, an ancient military strategist, in his famous military strategy book titled The Art of War, said, "If you know yourself and you know your enemy, you will always be victorious." Now, if you know yourself, but not your enemy, for every battle won, you will suffer defeat. Also, if you know your enemy, but not yourself, for every battle won, you will still suffer defeat. And if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Welcome to Amaka Intellectual Factory, where I host podcasts and many other interesting stuff. Dear women talking, patriarchy is fighting back. Do not be discouraged and do not be afraid. This gender war did not start with the civil rights movements of the 60s and 70s in the United States, or the much older ones recorded in the late 19th century and early 20th century. You are looking at a problem that can be traced into the celestial realm. Yes, you heard me right. The celestial realm. I'll give you an example. In what's considered the best writings on the Dogon people, being the writings of Marcel and Germain, the Dogon had a ceremony they celebrated every 60 years, known as the Sigui. Before the ceremony, young men go into seclusion for 3 months, during which they talk in a secret language. Now, the main celebration is what they consider the marriage of the star system known as Sirius and another star system, because both star systems get aligned with one another. I think the other star system is our sun. I can't remember now, but when I put up a video on the Dogon, I would have looked up what the other star system is. So the Sigui ceremony of the Dogon is a celebration of the celestial marriage of two star systems when they are aligned. This is why it is important for Black women who are being true to themselves and exposing the evils of patriarchy to understand how old and ancient this gender war is. Make no mistake about it, we are in the middle of a gender war. And this gender war goes beyond our current civilization or age. It was in the Bronze Age and even Stone Age. Let me whet your appetite a little bit with an information so important, yet almost unknown to the descendants of the women involved. In November of 1929, in Aba, southern Igbo land, a huge number of Igbo women protesting colonial British taxation were massacred by red cap wearing Black men, mostly a mixture of Black Babylonian men, Hamitic and Pygmy men. It was a massacre that caught the attention of the British Crown because at this time, that type of mass killing was no longer the order of the day in colonial Britain. When these Igbo women were asked what this was about, of all the things they said, the one thing that stuck with me was that they were fighting a women's war, which they called in Igbo language, Ogo Umunwanyị, suggesting to me this was an ancient war. When you read old books, you will see that it is indeed an ancient war. There were other groups of women who participated in this Igbo Women's War of 1929 as well. A fantastic book on Igbo Women's War is I Saw the Sky Catch Fire by Obi Kanram Echenwa. I intend to do the book justice with a book review on my other channel, Amaka Narrates. So make sure you subscribe to Amaka Narrates for my book reviews and book narrations. When you study Igbo history in old writings, you see the Igbo matriarchal origins manifesting itself. Even in spoken Igbo language, a matriarchal origin manifests itself. For instance, the Igbo word for sister or brother is nwanne, which translates literally as child of my mother. You would often hear so-called Igbo men say nwanna, meaning child of my father. But this is obviously an encroaching introduction into Igbo language, as no Igbo, even today, would translate sister or brother as nwanna, child of my father. Rather, they would tell you nwanne, child of my mother. This is just one of the many examples that give off a matriarchal origin of Igbo people. In addition to that, you also see what appears as an alien male patriarchy imposing itself on the Igbo matriarchal origins, while at the same time working really hard to erase this Igbo matriarchal origins. But you have me right here to share with you all this information, which they are rapidly wiping away in the midst of this social media gender wars and book bans. Black women are not nearly as warring and nepotic as their black male counterparts. So I can see how when patriarchy fights back, a lot of black women step back. Black women are in a gender war, and the main women the war is against are black women. Thus, why they get a lot of hate from other women and almost always get the short end of the stick in any women's rights movement. These men belong to male cults with unspeakable anti-women practices that would make your skin crawl. Oh, we're going to have a lot of discussions on male cults because so many of you are in relationships with men that are members of male cults, or worse still, men that are warlocks, sorcerers, and don't even know. Some of you suspect something is not quite right about the men you are with, but really can't put your hands on what exactly is not right. No matter how much these questionable men gaslight you, if your intuition tells you something ain't right, then chances are something really ain't right. You are most likely in a relationship with a warlock who is using spells on you and maybe even drugging you to mess with your mental health. Ogo Umunwanyị, that is, women's war, is no joke. So when you see even women speaking against women, understand that the indoctrination and grooming of women to be phallic worshippers is ancient, beyond our current age, Bronze Age, and goes into the celestial realm. So if you're moved to speak up against patriarchy, do so without fear. And when patriarchy fights back, do not be startled. These men mean serious business about the enslavement of women, and so should you. Now we have our brothers, a good number of them, if I must add, that love the sisters and are honest enough to speak up against this war on women. And to them I acknowledge, as long as they understand that at every point in time, it is sisters who must always lead sisters in this gender war. So my dear sisters, keep talking. Keep educating the younger sisters so they don't perish in patriarchal traps for lack of knowledge. And again, subscribe to my other channel so you don't miss out on my book reviews and book narrations, which would also include Ogo Umowine. That is Women's War. Well, that's all I have to say for now. Until next time, take care of your lovely selves. And remember, life is beautiful and worth living.